Old radios, the old radio shows. You probably heard about those, right?
Yeah.
Well, I remember them. I
Yeah.
remember 'em.
In the history books. Yeah.
Oh yeah, in history books, things. But yeah, we used to have a little old radio, and I used to remember listening to the Lone Ranger on it. Oh my goodness,
Oh yeah,
what memories.
I've listened to airings of the old Orson Welles.
Yeah.
That scared everybody way back
Yeah,
when.
good stuff.
Yeah, that's all before iPhones, the internet, or even TV were around. That's when there was just radio.
And Jim Della Vega shows us there's a group in Fresno working to keep the technology of yesterday alive today. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Kopi and Justin. That is exactly right. We're accustomed to all the exciting things that come out now, but we have to remember there was a time when radio was the exciting thing that was coming out now. So let's take a trip back to yesteryear when radio was king, and that was the new technology. And this club they take old radios and bring them back to life, and they rebuild the past in doing that. It gives you something physically that you can actually interact with. I'm talking with Bob, and Bob, you remember back in time, we were talking about when radio took off. I thought it was sooner, and you were pointing out that it did not start as early as I thought. Tell me that story.
Well, the radio actually started very early, but before people could actually have them in their home and have a good bunch of radios and have programming and that sort of thing, didn't really start until 1930 or thereabouts, maybe a little earlier in New York or some of the major cities, but not nationwide like it is now. At that time, at 1935, I remember on the farm we had a radio that if the wind blew hard, the generator would generate the battery, and by having the battery generated, my dad could listen to the farm report. If we were lucky, we might be able to listen to some of the old programs like Inner Sanctum and Amos and Andy and some of the different programs they had at that time.
And you remember the poles being put in, the big utility poles?
Yeah, in 1935 approximately, I asked my dad what was going on outside, and he said, well, they're putting in electric poles. And I said, what for? So we'll have electricity instead of being stuck with kerosene lamps in the house. And one of the farmers down the road was real smart. He said when the technicians came in, I'm going to just have one wire in the middle of the room, one pole. And they said, oh no, we'll put outlets on so you could plug things in. He said, no, just the one. And so they put just the one in for him. And then when they left, he said, boy, I outsmarted them. Now I can plug anything I want in. And he had no idea that Mr. Reddy would go in circles, whether he had one line or many.
Exactly. Real quick, how old is this radio, this thing?
Approximately 1922.
1922. We're going to talk to you more about some specific radios. We also want to talk to Jeff, and you guys are doing something tonight at the Fresno Idea Works. Tell me about that. What is it you're doing?
We're presenting the music for Art Hop here at Fresno Idea Works. The whole idea is to generate some interest in hopes of forming a group or a club here in town to collect and restore these. And I think Fresno Idea Works is a perfect place because they have all the equipment that we can utilize to help us restore these.
And these are absolutely beautiful pieces of equipment, and it is a part of history that a lot of us don't know about, or a lot of people have never heard of. The young kids have never even heard of, but they're bringing it back alive and making sure that technology is not lost to time. Back to you, Kopi and Justin.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Great memories.
Yeah.
Great memories.
Jeff Wiles there used to work here at
Part of our crew.
KMPH
Great
about
guy.
10 years ago. Yeah.
He does the radios, and he also repairs pinball machines and all that great stuff, the
Yeah.
games. He's awesome. The guy's amazing.
I worked on the floor crew here with Jeff 10 years
Good
ago.
man.
Great, good guy.
Hey,
Miss him.
talk-
We all love new gadgets, but there was a time when the new gadget was a radio.
Jim Della Vega is with a local group that's working to preserve that wonderful technology. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Kopi and Justin. You're exactly right. You know how you get excited about the new iPhone or whatever coming out? There was a time somebody was pretty doggone excited to get this radio from 1937. And folks are working to make sure that past is not forgotten, and that technology lives, like my friend Jeff, who you've got something special for Kopi, I believe.
Yeah, I remember several months ago, maybe last year, Kopi commented on a picture of one of my radios and said he used to listen to something on it similar to it. So this is for you, Kopi.
Powerful for the locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
I'm pretty sure he remembers that. Superman from the old radio show. Now, you work on this. How do you do this? Why do you do this?
Preserve history. I have a fondness for this era. My stepfather introduced me to big band music and old radio shows when I was 12 or 13, and it just stuck with me my whole life. And a few years ago, I thought it would be fun to actually get a radio from the period to enjoy the stuff through. So I have a basic knowledge of electronics, and with some help from my friend Bob there, started getting into restoring these.
And you're going to be at the Fresno Idea Works, and people can come if they want to join your club, right?
Yes, and we'll be providing Christmas music and period music for the entertainment tonight here at Fresno Idea Works.
Which is going to be a lot of fun. And I should mention that this is actually what's inside of this. If you're curious, that was what is inside of that. Let me go back and talk to somebody that who remembers a lot about the era. And you've been doing this. You've done this for years, Bob, haven't you?
Yes, actually, I started with radios probably around 1939, and that was still early for radios, but they were quite popular by that time. The earliest ones were in the 1920s and that sort of thing, and the earliest transmission of thing was spark gap, where they actually, if you remember when you turned on a light switch, it would pop in the radio, and they would actually transmit a signal via spark that way. That was probably the first times that they could actually communicate without wires.
That's fascinating. And you were telling me about hearing FDR talk on December 7th when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yes.
And all that through radio. And this is a history that we don't want to see lost, technology that needs to continue, and you can join the club and you can learn how to do this, which is now a lost art. But we're going to have more and show you some more of the stuff they've done coming up in a little bit. Kopi and Justin.
All right, thanks a lot, Jim. Well, before iPhones, the internet, or even television, there was radio.
And as Jim Delavega shows us, there's a group in Fresno working to keep the technology of yesterday alive today. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Kopi and Justin. That's exactly right. And you can join the group if you're interested. They'll help you learn about how to repair and make and deal with this old stuff. But also, you could have things worth money in your house right now or your grandparents' house. Jeff, tell me a little bit of how people can get in touch with you.
We have a Facebook group. It's Fresno Antique Radio Group, and people can join the group and ask us questions. Hopefully we can get a group together to come down here and have some workshop time, but we can also help you identify sets that you might have in your home or family's home, and if you're interested in selling it, hopefully place a value on it. Contrary to popular belief, just because it's old doesn't mean it's valuable, although there are a few exceptions.
And so that's a good way of finding out. And also, if you find out, you may find out you're interested in all of this stuff, and you may find yourself getting a brand new hobby. Somebody who knows all about it is Bob, and he was telling me a fun fact. Bob, quickly, now before we had radio, we had the crank up phonograph. So tell me about this.
You crank it up, you have a little needle that makes like a sound come out of it, but did you know you can take a toothpick in your teeth and put it on the record, and you can actually hear what's on the record in your head.
With a toothpick. How cool is that? Bob knows a little bit about everything. We're at Fresno Idea Works, and they have something going on this weekend. Tell me about that, Corey.
This Saturday, we're having the unique gift show. We're going to have handmade gifts from about 7 or 8 different artists or makers from the facility here. And we'll be showing our stuff. We'll be doing live demonstrations, glass demonstrations, wood turning, ceramics, and we're just going to have a good time this weekend, try to sell some gifts for that hard-to-find shopper.
And this is the time to do it. Just a little bit of everything. Some beautiful work there. You did all this yourself, right?
Yes, I did. It's all made right here in the studio, right here in Fresno.
So many things going on that you can be a part of, and also you can buy great gifts. You can become part of a new club that is actually bringing the past to life now. And a cool thing about a lot of the radios, I'll tell you about just a little bit later on. I want to share this one little tidbit. It's a good one, so stick around for that. Back to you.